Hello, everyone. Welcome back to our Employee Learning Week special series. If this is the first segment you're tuning in for, look around. There's a link somewhere that'll take you to the full series. We'd love to have you check out the other episodes. All week, we've been celebrating by reflecting on some of our favorite programming and initiatives from this past year. And we're inviting you, our listeners, to engage with our chapter's mission and reflect on your own learning journeys. I'm Jami, VP of Tech Ops and President-elect for A2ATD. Today we have my fellow board member, past president, board admin, chapter historian, all the things. Lisa, welcome. Thank
Thank
you
you.
for being here. Do you want to start out by introducing yourself and tell us a little bit about your experience with the board and your background?
Sure, absolutely. I'm Lisa Garcia. As Jamie had said, have been with the chapter for, I believe, 10 years now. Started as VP Finance, rolled into the president role for a couple years, past president, and now a couple years as board administrator. I found that I had bandwidth to be part of the board here in Ann Arbor after about 13 years of traveling on the road for my work, and then came back and wanted to get involved and stay close to talent development through the local chapter. And then from a professional standpoint, I didn't land in learning and development. Initially, my background was actually an accounting and management major at school, but I joined a tax and accounting software company, and I've been there for the last 25 years. So, different things I did, a lot more learning and development when I was traveling. Now I do a bit more technical work, so again, stay connected to learning and development through the local chapter. So happy to be part of it.
Yeah, and it's so great having you continued uh, to be a part of this. Can you tell us about how being part of A2ATD has helped you as a professional, both talent development and otherwise?
Yeah, absolutely. I believe it's that opportunity for leadership, directly, working with other board members, directing initiatives, getting involved with the community. Um, that gives you another, I guess, wider scope into our world, what other people are doing, what other companies are doing. So that connection has been really important, especially if you consider that those 25 years are in the same company. So I needed to actively look outside to know, what else is going on, what other struggles or successes were other companies having. So it just really allows me to kind of, rather than reaching, say, upward only, but reach outward.
Yeah, oh, that's a great point. Helps with the perspective and opening up
Yeah.
your scope. So, looking back on this past year, is there any specific A2ATD event, program, or initiative that really stands out as a favorite for you? Besides the CPTD, because we're going to talk about that in a minute.
Sure, sure. Yeah, I probably still am biased in my choice because I would say our recent entrepreneurial session with Diana Wong over at WCC was really impactful. I've done consulting for most of those 25 years, and but I'm always going to learn more from Diana, particularly with her talking about being an independent consultant and things to think about, and if you're going to go that direction. And then also, again, a bit biased because she also was the mentor that pushed me into my master's program. So I'm very appreciative of Diana. And I know our chapter and our community and, our local college or university also loves Diana and almost everything she does. So,
Oh, yes, we do. Shout out to Diana. Thank you so much for your involvement. And I love too how she just brings this energy with her and just opportunities with her. And I just feel like regardless of what phase you're in, you can get something out of being
yep,
part of one of her sessions. So,
exactly.
all right. Well, we are celebrating Employee Learning Week. And in your view, why is this week important for organizations and professionals?
Well, I'd say it's a bit like what I mentioned with reaching outward is that I know within our organization we try to build a learning culture, and I'm, remembering some of the industry information that came out maybe even almost 10 years ago about organizations having a learning culture and building it from within. And I think that some organizations that are big enough that have the bandwidth to do that on their own, that's one thing. But the smaller the organization, the harder it sometimes gets to be concerted in efforts for learning and not just getting the jobs done every day, but improving. So I think with organizations kind of doing it together in a concerted time frame, you can learn from other organizations. You can maybe leverage other partners and potentially make a bit more ground on the learning that you're bringing into your organization. So if we do it together, is the point, then
Yeah.
we can probably get farther.
Yeah. Agree. So if you could address our members that are listening,
Hmm.
what's one way that somebody that wants to be more involved in A2ATD, what's one way they could do that and get more benefit from the community?
So I would say, it certainly depends on where you're located. If you are within proximity to Ann Arbor, we've been doing some, plenty of in-person events, coffee chats, some in person as well. But I think also it's just important to know that we have reciprocity with a couple other chapters in Michigan, one in Ohio and Toledo. And so their offerings as well could open up opportunities, whether it's in person or not. So to those that are virtual or just maybe your commute isn't as easy to the Ann Arbor area and you need to focus on virtual, that you've got not one chapter, but you've got 3 to 4 to look at their offerings and be able to get involved. And I think in general, just if you have questions, reach out to us because we've sometimes been able to connect folks who know us to the chapter nearest them, or chapters that we just want you to be involved and certainly with us, but if not, then get what you need from another chapter.
Yeah, definitely. I feel like there's a lot of strength in this community, and um, yeah, especially the reciprocity and the networking possibilities. And yeah, like Lisa said, reach out. We're here. We're
Yeah.
available. So, another big thing we're celebrating this week is the CPTD Study Group has reached a
Mhm.
major milestone
Yeah.
with over 100 candidates certified. And I think this was a marker achieved last year, actually. So
Mhm.
that number has even grown. Can you share what has made the group so successful over the years?
Oh man, there's a lot of things that it took to get where we are, but I mean overwhelmingly it's really just the commitment of everyone involved. So when we have the event on December 5th, we'll be inviting back everybody we still have contact information for that was involved in those initial years and everyone involved up till now. So that would include expert speakers on some of the topics, some of the capabilities. That would include partner chapters who helped us find those speakers. We have guest hosts, when I may not be able to be there, and then of course invite back all the cohorts, all the candidates that were part of those cohorts. And it was really, to me, the success is owed to the commitment of every one of them. Because even if you were committing to your own success to be a CPTD, you were also committing to the advancement of everyone else in that cohort. The more you put in, the
Yeah.
more that everyone got out.
Oh,
So
yeah.
between all of that completely volunteer time, no one in those rooms was paid anything to be there. So it's just really, to me, the epitome of what Learning Week should be about, which is just
Yeah.
the advancement of everyone.
And for anybody who is not familiar with the CPTD group, can you give the quick
Hmm.
elevator pitch
Yeah,
for what is the group? What are you
sure.
about?
Absolutely. We're a group that meets at least a couple times a year for 12 weeks. The first week is like a kickoff, and then 11 weeks of study together. And we divide and conquer the capabilities and skill statements within the CPTD exam. We talk about exam preparation, and again, just application of all of those capabilities and how that might show up in the test, and how to really think through the answers to questions, so on and so forth. And again, everyone's there, for themselves. They're there to um, have those discussions of application of the topics so that you can you can think them through for the exam and be successful.
I think this is just so serendipitous to be celebrating this this week. Like you said, it's just such a great example of the importance of something like Employee Learning Week. So, as we prepare to virtually celebrate this milestone, what's something that you think has been one of the more meaningful impacts of the study group on its members and the A2ATD community at large?
So I think, first of all, it certainly is the achievement of the actual certification for everyone. That's a personal goal and milestone that most reach. And I will say this, like sometimes it won't be in that first time encountering us. I've had people come back a year or year and a half later, and they finally got a chance to take the exam. So it doesn't necessarily have to happen immediately, but it does over
Yeah.
time. But I think the lasting impact is also the relationships that are made within the cohorts, as well as with the speakers, because they're asking each other advice on their career. They're asking advice on situations at work and getting good feedback, sometimes confirmation of what they're thinking, or challenging what they're thinking about something at work. So I know that many, many of these relationships have carried on for years afterwards, from all the time that they spend together in the study group.
Yeah, that's so nice. And I love that people will come back
Mhm.
and share that success.
Yep. Yep. We do that. So that's what happens in that first week of the kickoff, is that I bring back some of the folks who have most recently passed, so that they can pass along their suggestions and advice.
So, with this milestone, the CPTD 100 plus certified, what's next for the study group? Any new goals or initiatives you're excited about?
I would say at this point, there's a couple goals I think that we have. One is one that's been happening after every cohort, which is what is the next step in improvement of the organization of the materials and how we interact and such. So I'll be looking to see what that next phase would look like in 2025. Um, and I have a few ideas on how that might work. And then also just kind of closing the loop, I think, on our chapter also being able to offer the credits for certification and become another chapter that is available to help those that have reached the milestone recertify, and kind of focusing on what that effort might look like. If it could look like some type of membership, be that virtual potentially, or just we'll see. We'll see how that might come together as far as offerings.
Yeah, well, stay tuned for what's coming up in 2025.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, we have time for a fun one. If
Mhm.
you could have any superpower to help you with your work in talent development or other, what would it be and why?
Well, I think this will be obvious, but I think for me, it's when you're trying to influence or convince somebody something, whether it's learning a skill or maybe it's just the reason why we're going to do something. I wish I just magically had the right words,
Oh,
because a
yeah.
lot of times it's not that they wouldn't agree with you, it's that delivery, it's the message
Hmm.
that you send. and or how that message is taken, even if it's not sent in, say, a
Yeah.
negative way, or just seen as negative. So I think that would be the key to anything, is saying it the right way and getting that right result. So, and I think that could apply to our work. It could apply to home. It could apply to
Yeah.
really anything we want to accomplish. So that's mine.
Yeah. I think I've enjoyed asking everybody this question, and I'm like, man, I wish I had all of these. We're going to work on some prototypes for 2025.
Yeah.
So before we go, thank you so much for your time today. And let's give our listeners something to ponder. What's something you want people to answer or drop in the comments below?
Yeah, so if you're hearing this and want to comment, I'd love to hear what are your plans for your advancement and your learning in 2025. Maybe it'll be the CPTD.
Maybe that would actually be great. We're gonna keep track. All names in the comments will be added. No, I'm just kidding. So, all right. Thank you, Lisa. Thank you, everyone. Happy Employee Learning Week. Keep learning, keep celebrating, and we'll see you in the next one.